Hey guys, Michael from Copper vs Glass, and in today's video I'm going to be talking more about the Google Pixel 5. Now, it's been around 1 month since I unboxed the Google Pixel 5 and around 2 weeks since I've done my full review, but I thought I'd give you guys a quick update on how the phone's doing and obviously talk about that controversial processor to see if it's actually caused any issues day to day for the last 30 or so days. Let's take a look. So one of the main worries when the Google Pixel 5 first came out was the fact that it was going to be using a Snapdragon 765G processor. Now, a lot of the top-end devices from Sony, LG, Samsung are all going to be using an 845 processor, and that's kind of the top-level spec of what Snapdragon currently offers. Now, for the 765G, that is a lower-end sort of mid-tier processor, so a lot of people were worried about how the performance was going to be on the Pixel 5, as it's basically Google's flagship device, but without the flagship specs. Now basically my experience with the Pixel 5 is that it's been as good, if not exactly the same experience as I would have on one of those higher end devices. Now everyday use with the OS, games, camera, everything that you want to use on your Pixel is going to work perfectly fine. I've not really had any sort of slowdown or a thing. Background tasks, multitasking, all works flawlessly, and even high intense applications like Call of Duty Mobile, PUBG, Fortnite all run flawlessly on the Google Pixel 5. Now, I'm not sure whether that's because of the fact that it is stock Android. Obviously, Google on their Pixel devices ship basically what they want Android to be. There's no sort of skins, bloatware, additional content that you don't really need, like you might find with maybe a Samsung device, for example. They put a lot more into their phone. And yes, okay, some of it is quite good and quite handy to use, but the Pixel 5 to me is basically the Android phone for those iPhone users. Now the main thing about the iPhone is that it is usable for everybody. Everyone can pick one up, use one, it's super simple to do, whether you're very young or very old, you can use an iPhone without any issue whatsoever, and for me that's kind of what the Pixel 5 is. And to prove that point, I am currently using the Google Pixel 5, my brother is using the Pixel 5, and also my mum and dad are also using Pixel devices. Now yes, it's the Pixel 4a and the Pixel 3a, but they're in kind of their 50s, 60s, and they're able to use the phone perfectly fine. Now again, yes, sometimes there are little quirks and things with using an Android device compared to something like an iPhone, but overall the experience is super fluid, clean, and again, pretty much everyone can use it. Now the only real issue that I found with the Pixel 5 and the 765G is when taking HDR photos, or just photos in general. The processing can be a little bit longer than I would like to, and seeing that final result takes a split second longer than what you may find on a more high-end, more expensive device. But once those photos are taken, obviously they're going to be pixel quality, which we'll get onto in just a moment. So for me, when you're snapping photos and taking photos or videos day to day, you do have to wait a little bit longer to see that final result, and if you're using like something like HDR or 4K video recording, that delays the process even more, but again, it's not really that much of an issue. Again, yes, you do have to wait a little bit longer than you may do on a high-end device, but overall taking photos and videos has been extremely good on the Pixel 5, and the results speak for themselves. Now in my Pixel 5 review, I mentioned the fact that the sensor in the Pixel 5 is the same as what you're going to find on the older Google Pixel 2 and 2 XL. Now for me though, that's not really been any sort of issue whatsoever. Now currently here in the UK we are still in lockdown, so I haven't been able to go out and take any additional photos, so the photo examples that you're seeing in this video are from my original Pixel 5 review, and again that will be linked in the description below if you guys want to see those photos blown up and to a bigger scale. But as you can see from these photos, they are extremely good. Portrait mode is some of the best that I've seen on any device, HDR looks great, and even the 4K video has had a major upgrade with the Pixel 5 this year. Now if I had to say the main downside to the Pixel 5, even compared to the OnePlus 7T that I was using previously, has to be the speakers. These are actually some of the worst speakers that I've had on a mobile device of recent memory, and that's because they're not really stereo. Yes, it is sold and advertised as a stereo setup, but the top speaker that's underneath the earpiece and underneath the screen isn't really that much of a speaker. Now again, if I just cover up the bottom speaker for example, you can see how much the actual sound changes, which again isn't necessarily great when you're trying to watch a movie or even just watch something on YouTube. So for me, unlike some other devices, I haven't really been consuming much media on the Pixel 5, whether that's listening to music on Spotify, YouTube, or catching up on Netflix. It's not really something that I've done all that much. Now that may account for the fact that the battery life has been incredible on the Pixel 5 because I haven't really been using it for hours of video watching like I may have done on some of my previous devices. But overall, the battery life has actually been incredible on the Pixel 5. I've constantly been getting between 6 and 8 hours of screen on time, and that's with using high intense games, for example, GPS, phone calls, text messages, yes, watching a few videos here and there, but overall the battery life has been really good. Now, I do charge my phone pretty much every night overnight, and yes, that may not be great for the battery, but it just makes sure that I've got 100% in the morning ready to go. But again, with the fast charging and the quick charge on the Pixel 5, you don't really have to worry about it all that much. You can also use wireless charging as well if you don't really want to rinse your battery life. So again, that's definitely something to keep in mind because yes, it is going to charge a little bit slower, but that may be better for overall battery life of the device over that 2 or 3 year period that you're going to have it. And just quickly talking about gaming on the Pixel 5, I've had no issues whatsoever. Now at the start of this video I mentioned the fact that the 765G processor may cause some concerns, but for me I'm still able to play some of my favourite games, high settings, 90 frames a second. Something like Call of Duty for example runs extremely well. Now for me the smaller screen isn't necessarily the best because I've got quite large hands and the screen itself and the phone in general is quite small, so for me I am using an Xbox One controller for the majority of my gaming, but overall in terms of the actual performance of those games, it is extremely good. Speaking of that screen, it is good, but not great. It's not going to be as good as what you're going to find on the newest iPhone 12 or even some of the newer Samsung devices, but overall it's a really nice looking screen. It could be a little bit brighter outdoors, and sometimes the colour contrast is a little bit off to my eye, but overall in regards to the actual contents that you're looking at on the screen, it works extremely well. Now for me, I do have it on the adaptive colours. Now some people may or may not like that because sometimes it looks a little bit different from screen to screen, but overall the colours, contrast and everything looks pretty good to be fair on a daily basis. And that's going to do it guys for this video on my quick 1 month recap of the Google Pixel 5. Now let me know in the comments below if you're currently using a Pixel device and how your experience has been, and if you enjoyed this video be sure to give it a thumbs up down below. If you're not already subscribed, now's a great time to do so, and once you're subscribed turn on those notifications so you're notified anytime I post a new video here on the channel. I'm Michael from Copper vs Glass, thanks very much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next video.